Good morning. Lucy, say good morning. So this morning we are going to read things a little bit differently than we normally do. So we are going to read two different versions of a nursery rhyme. So nursery rhymes are like the little songs that you used to sing like in preschool when you were really little, like Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Today we're going to talk about one called Humpty Dumpty. Here's the first poem that we're going to read. Sorry, Lucy stepped on it and got it a little bit wrinkled. So I'm going to read it to you, and then we're going to talk about the other version that we're going to read today. Humpty Dumpty. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. So you've probably heard that. Humpty Dumpty's a little egg, and he fell off the wall, and he cracked open, and nobody could fix him. So that's the original nursery rhyme. Today we're going to read this book here called After the Fall. And so it's about Humpty Dumpty, that's him there, but it's called After the Fall. So this poem here kind of just stops and says, nobody could put Humpty together again. Now this one has a little bit more information for after the fall. I think they might try to put him back together. That's what I'm thinking right now. I'm going to turn so you can see it better. Let's read and see what happens in After the Fall. After the fall, how Humpty Dumpty got back up again. Oh. My name is Humpty Dumpty. This was my favorite spot, high up on the wall. I know it's an odd place for an egg to be, but I loved being close to the birds. Then one day, I fell. I'm sort of famous for that part. Folks called it the Great Fall, which sounds a little grand. It was just an accident, but it changed my life. So right now, this is Humpty Dumpty. He's the one talking. He's the one telling the story. So this point of view is from a character, Humpty Dumpty. Kings County Hospital. Fortunately, all the king's men managed to put me back together. So that's already different from the original. There were some parts that couldn't be healed with bandages and glue. Well, most of me. I forgot that. Well, most of me. There were some parts that couldn't be healed with bandages and glue. After that day, I became afraid of heights. I was so scared that it kept me from enjoying some of my favorite things. I walked past the wall every day, and I would think about climbing that ladder again. I really missed the birds and being high above the city, but I could never do it because I knew that accidents can happen. I eventually settled for watching the birds from the ground. It wasn't the same, but it was better than nothing. Then one day, an idea flew by. There's the idea. Making planes was harder than I thought. It was easy to get cuts and scratches, but day after day I kept trying and trying. I wonder what the plane is for. Until I got it just right. Looks like a bird. My plane was perfect, and it flew like nothing could stop it. I hadn't felt that happy in a long time. It wasn't the same as being up in the sky with the birds, but it was close enough. Unfortunately, accidents happen. Uh-oh. I wonder what happens. They always do. There's his paper airplane. It looks like it's about to fly over. I almost walked away again, but then I thought about all the time I'd spent working on my plane and all the other things I'd missed. But the higher I got, the more nervous I felt. I didn't want to admit it. I was terrified. I didn't look up. I didn't look down. I just kept climbing one step at a time. Until I was no longer afraid. He made it to the top. Maybe now you won't think of me as that egg who was famous for falling. Crack, crack. Hopefully you'll remember me as the egg who got back up. Uh-oh. I see eggshells. And learned how to fly. Oh, he turned into a bird. He must have been a baby bird the whole time who just needed to be hatched. How fun. How sweet. Now there he is flying up in the sky. The end. How sweet. So, this was a version of the nursery rhyme Humpty Dumpty. And this right here was the original. So today for your activity on Seesaw, I want you to compare the original, the poem here, to the book After the Fall that we read. This was such a fun, encouraging book. We can learn from Humpty Dumpty that even if something bad happens to us and we're scared that it might happen again or we make a mistake, we don't need to let that get us scared from doing the things that we can do. We need to just get back up and keep on moving, and great things will happen. Like how Humpty Dumpty, he went back up to the top of the wall even though he was terrified, and he ended up turning into a bird and was able to fly. I think that he maybe wouldn't have ever really noticed that he could fly if he didn't go back up to the top and like push himself off to push himself to fly. That's what I'm kind of wondering and thinking about this. Did you like the book, Lucy? She thought it was good. All right, so on Seesaw, you're going to compare the original poem, the original nursery rhyme, to the book. Ooh, Lucy. Let me and Lucy see what you think about comparing the two. What happened in the end. Lucy, say bye.